Okay, so welcome back. So now let's talk about subtraction of signed numbers. So let's build off of what we've already learned about adding signed numbers. Okay, so what do we have? So let's introduce the idea of opposites. I've mentioned this before in passing when we were talking about adding, but now let me explain. So opposites are two numbers when we add them equals 0. So for example, 1 and -1 are opposites of each other. Okay, same value but opposite signs. 2 and -2 are opposites. 3 and -3 are opposites, and so on and so on. But why? Another thing is that the opposites add up to 0. Okay, so if I look at -5 plus 5, right? Those are opposites, so they're going to add up to 0. Okay, so keep that in your mind. Okay, so let's look at some other things we want to discover. Okay, so let's say we have 3 minus 2. Okay, 3 minus 2 we know is equal to 1. Okay, but what if we have this? What if we have, let's say, 3 plus -2? What does that equal? Well, let's use our rule. Opposite signs. So what do? We subtract the numbers and keep the sign of the larger number. So so again, in my head, I'm thinking, well, I'm going to subtract the two numbers, larger minus the smaller, and then I'm going to keep the sign of the larger number, which is 3. Okay, so that's going to be positive. So this is going to be positive, so I'm going to get 1. Notice that this and this are the same, which means, guess what? That 3 minus 2 is equal to 3 plus -2. Okay? So let's use this and let's see if we can develop a pattern. So let's say we have this. So we know 5 minus 5 is equal to 0. 5 minus 4 is equal to 1. 5 minus 3 is equal to 2, right? And then 5 minus 2 is equal to 3. 5 minus 1 is equal to 4, right? And then 5 minus 0 is equal to 0. Okay, let's stop there for a moment. Now, we know from this that this is also equal to 5 plus -5, right? Opposites equal 0. Now, by the way, 0 doesn't have an opposite because 0 doesn't have a sign. Remember what I said last time. 0 is neither positive nor negative. Okay, so now, let me erase this. Okay, so now also this is 5 minus 4 is the same as 5 plus -4. 5 minus 3 is the same as 5 plus -3. 5 minus 2 is the same as 5 plus -2. 5 minus 1 is the same as 5 plus -1. And then of course 0 doesn't have an opposite value, so I'm not going to write that. Okay, now let's continue on. What if I have 5 minus 6? How do I handle that? Well, what do I get? Let's see there. Well, I know, okay, how do I handle that? 5 minus 6. Well, if I use what I know, that's the same as 5 plus -6, right? So all I'm doing is changing the subtraction to an addition and changing the sign of the second number, right? So 5 minus 6 is the same as 5 plus -6. Now what does the rules for addition of signed numbers tell me? Well, I have opposite signs, which means I'm going to subtract the numbers and keep the sign of the larger number. Well, let's do that. Well, that's going to, again, I'm doing this in my head. That's going to tell me that this is the same as 6 minus 5, and then I'm going to keep the sign of the larger number, which is 6, so that's going to be negative. So that means I'm going to do 6 minus 5 and keep it negative. So this gives me negative 1. Now look at the pattern here. Okay, oops, that's not right. 5. Okay, so let's look at the pattern here. I have 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0, negative 1. It fits the pattern, right? So it's getting smaller and smaller, right? It's getting less, right? It's decreasing. So it's going down. So guess what? What do you think 5 minus 7 is going to equal? Negative 2. And again, we can verify that. 5 minus 7 is equal to 5 plus negative 7. Then we can use our rule and we get negative 2. What about down here? What if we go down here? Let's see if it continues. What if I do 5 minus negative 1? Ooh, because now if I look, I'm subtracting 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Now, what if I subtract negative 1? Ooh, let's see what happens here. So let's apply what we did. Will it work? Let's change this to a positive. So we know that this is going to equal what? We change this to an addition sign and change the sign of the second number. So let's see if that works. So we do 5 plus, well, what's the opposite of negative 1? 1. And that gives us 6. Look at that. Does it fit the pattern? Yes, it does. Negative 2, negative 1, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we're going to use this to subtract signed numbers. I'll see you next time.